Alright, I'm back. Unfortunately, I seem to have lost both Cluck and Marcus. Apparently, Marcus had to go to bed, has to keep a reasonable sleep schedule for his school times. That's what you get when you have all these damn kids playing competitive HoN. And then a Cluck was like, yeah, if Marcus isn't in, I'm kind of going to leave too. It is pretty late over there in EU, so I can't begrudge them that too much. And all of my other damn co-casters apparently have ditched. I've got this great co-casters group in Skype. It's got like 18 people in it, and none of them frickin' cast. So, screw all y'all. I'll do this by myself. Yo, it's about as street as we're gonna get here. Anyway, SynC taking on Ride My Rocket in Game 2. Game 1 going SynC's way. No particular surprise right there, as they tend to win games in general. And then in these early rounds of Diamond Division, they tend to always win games, as Cluck was alluding to last game. I believe they are perfect or close to it in the round of 8. It's pretty difficult if you are a team coming up from Gold Division to take a game, or even 2, off of a team as good as SynC. I mean, they tend to manhandle even like the second, third, fourth best teams in the scene right now. So, no huge surprise if RmR were to bow out 0-2 in this game. In this series. But we are well underway with the draft, which is usually I like to give myself a little cushion so I can, talk about stuff. Ophelia Cthulhufunt getting it banned out by Insania, so perhaps some respect for Boz right there, as they don't really want to first pick that Ophelia, but Boz having a great game on the Oph in the last game and really doing a lot to keep him in it. Him and Pengu were pretty much the entire team. The rest of RmR did not do too much. I'll forgive the Forgotten One a little bit for... he had a solid game actually as Moira. It's just it's kind of hard to have an impact as a solo support like that and really put your team on your shoulders and carry them. It's going to lead into 3 picks on the lead side of Swiftblade, Dr. Repulsor, and Parasite. So, talk about 3 heroes that are considered just about as broken as possible and as popular and high win rate as possible. Those are 3 of them. Hellborn going to counter this with Torture, a Kraken, and the Dark Lady, so we'll be putting Pengu on yet another one of those hard farming agility carries in the short lane. This time it's the melee-oriented TDL. And Torture presumably going to be in the hands of the Forgotten One, who's quite a solid support player, in fact, and Kraken either going to be there in Cookie's hands. That's my guess. It's going to be a Suicide Kraken, or for Qzane in the middle lane, but my assumption is going to be a Suicide. Second stage of bans are Behemoth, Chipper, and Glacius. So, Insania banning out a couple of different roles here, Behemoth and Glacius. More support-oriented typically, but Behemoth could certainly occupy a farmer role, being more of an initiator type. We really don't see that too much, but it's certainly possible. And Chipper, definitely that sort of initiator as well. Hellborn going to take out Prisoner, Pebbles, and Meraxis. So, trying to address Mickey right here, and he doesn't have a hero at this point, assuming that Swiftblade goes to Keizu, and that Doctor goes to Flensmeister, which would make a lot of sense. I believe Keizu is actually undefeated on Swiftblade. He's like 11-0 or something like that on the hero. It's the most games played for any 100% player-hero combination. And if they put... Okay. Well, we'll get to that in a second, but if they put Swiftblade on Keizu, then it's in the past been an auto win for them, and it's been an auto win for a lot of the big games they played. So, wouldn't be surprised if things go similarly in this game. And of course, Lap, a fantastic Parasite player, Insania on the Empath, going to pair very well with the Swiftblade. That's just a strong combination in general. But Deadwood is going to be the 5th pick here. Now, if you watched HoNcast earlier today, we did see some Deadwood. Heroes coming back. It has not been picked prior to Cycle 7. It's picked in this series and in another series. I can't remember which one. I think I know which one, but I don't want to say because, hey, maybe you'll watch that series later if I not cast it, which I will. But that's going to be the Mickey hero. So, Hellborn trying to take out options for the MVP of 2014 on SynC's side. And they're going to still end up with him on a pretty powerful hero in that Deadwood. A hero that got some buffs recently, and apparently teams thinking that it might actually have some potential now, so we'll see if Deadwood can return to the scene. Hellborn will finish off their draft with Bubbles and Tempest, so Boz returning to the jungle with a last pick Tempest, and that's not something that we see very often either. It seems like the jungle role has taken some hits in terms of how popular it is and how much people like to run those heroes. SynC notably saying that they don't think that the jungle is a necessity anymore. They pretty much play jungle every single game for like 4 or 5 cycles. And they will be doing that once again here, as Zlap has picked up the Parasite, so he'll be heading into their woods. And oops, I hit the wrong link there, so I lost my dashboard. It's fine. Can't monitor Twitch chat. Anyway, we will be seeing a bottom lane Flames by Dr. Repulsor. That's presumably going to be solo. And Mickey in the middle lane probably be solo as well. I wouldn't be surprised to see a long lane dual lane here from SynC, as Swiftblade and Empath combo very well in a lane. They're also very complementary as a lane as the game goes on later, of course. And that seems possible. I assume they're going to want to have Mickey be solo formed as well. Hellborn are actually going to put Kraken onto Q-Zane, so that's going to be their mid hero. Cookies on the Suicide Bubbles up against Dr. Repulsor, and this is actually a familiar situation for him, of course, as he had this exact same matchup in the last game, and Cluck and I both thinking that it probably should have gone a little bit better for him than it did. We'll see if the experience will improve his performance. He'll also have a slightly different jungle there on the Legion side, and Zlapped on the Parasite is actually heading top, along with the Swiftblade and Empath combination, so unsurprisingly, those two heroes will be laned in the top lane. Keizu not going to be occupying a traditional Suicide, but instead a dual lane long lane with Zlapped in the aggressive jungle. Hellborn are going to run a pseudo tri-lane of their own, this time in the short lane with Torturer, TDL, and Tempest in their woods. And as far as things go, it's pretty damn hard to call. In fact, both sides running a melee hero as their farmer in this long lane. Sorry. Always got to respond to Twitch chat. Now I don't have anybody else to fill the silence. So, sad times. Anyway, Mick actually getting blocked out by the creep wave a little bit here. Torture does not have anything skilled up. Probably wanted to wait to see if he wanted to get the impalement for the zoning potential or if he needed the chain reactions, if the lane was going to get aggressive. And in fact, he is going to rotate middle, which is a little bit interesting. In fact, they're going to leave Pingu in this top lane. He will be able to CS pretty decently with Taint Soul, but I really don't like this movement. Kraken is not the greatest dual lane hero in my opinion, and he actually gets hurt as a result of it. He's really just... There's no reason for him to be dual lane. He's going to lose levels, and he doesn't add really a lot of kill potential, especially with Torturer, who, for his part, needs a setup stun. So, it's like, you've got two heroes, both of whom really would prefer a setup stun if they want to combo their abilities. And actually, Torture going to eat a Rotten Grasp right here and take a lot of damage. Meanwhile, Pingu in the top lane is going to get destroyed by this combination of Empath and Swiftblade. So they'll be able to shut down Mickey a little bit, actually. Middle lane, we're going to see a gank coming through. Empath and Parasite looking for an initiation on the middle lane. And perhaps possible Bloodlust coming out. Insane and Zlap being very patient right here. And obviously Kraken pretty damn tanky and has the escape mechanism with the charge, so not their ideal target. They'd rather kill him, but it's a lot less certain that they can. So in fact, Parasite will head back into the woods, continue to farm, doesn't want to screw with his GPM too much. He's currently at 200 gold per minute. By the way, Tempest has rotated to the Legion woods, so finding a little bit too difficult to lane against the Parasite in his own jungle. Gonna head to the Legion woods where nothing is blocked except for the one hard camp. They blocked their own hard camp. Or sorry, Tempest blocked the hard camp. No, Bubbles blocked the hard camp. One of these damned heroes blocked something, trying to prevent the Parasite from coming over with those creeps and ganking the Bubbles, of course. And that's gonna hurt Tempest a little bit here, but not that much, obviously. He doesn't really need the hard camps early on. Kraken, gonna be walled out, and he throws the leech there as well. Mickey looking for the Rotten Grasp, actually the charge away. The Grasp not gonna connect as it looks like Q-Zane has taken the correct path. Will be able to eat his way through the trees right here and chug on that bot a little bit. Get him out just fine. So Empath with the rotations, trying to make something happen in other lanes, feeling like he's not needed top, and he really isn't. We have Swiftblade at 315 GPM, and as I said before, Keizu an extremely well-versed and strong Suicide Swiftblade player. He's never lost on Swiftblade in 11 games, and doesn't look like he'll be breaking that streak here anytime soon. Bottom lane, actually, Dr. Repulsor could be in some trouble. Gets silenced out, and the stuns from Tempest are there. Flensmeister going to be the first one to fall in this game, as a solid gank from Tempest with the rotation of Legion Woods results in a short lane carry kill. And that's definitely something that's going to help Cookies have a better time this time than he did the last game. He did not get the Bloodlust there, but obviously he's going to get some free farm time now. Missing a C-test right there, unfortunately. But oh well. And he'll also get a bit of a level advantage as well. He's level 5, and you look at Flen's only level 4. So, not the greatest. But with Tempest hanging around, it could be difficult for Flensmeister to feel particularly safe in this lane, obviously. Once he hits level 6, Doctor becomes a much, much stronger laner, but having the access to the Tempest ultimate, and presumably the Kelp Field and Bubble Silence as well, is going to be very helpful when it comes to actually trying to kill this Doctor Repulsor. Invis on Torture, they're going to look for the open, going to have to land the chain reactions, they will get it into the Shell Surf and the stun. Once again, Flensmeister's still not level 6, so he's going to be falling for a second time. Bubble's not choosing to take cover that tower auto, actually, which is kind of surprising, and SynC realizing pretty quickly that Flensmeister is the one being consistently aggressed. They want to shut down this Doctor Repulsor, and Insania has therefore rotated to this bottom lane. We'll try to help him out, keep him alive a little bit. And middle lane, Grasp completely whiffing, but Mick actually picks up 3 CS for it, so I'm sure he'll take that. Top lane, actually, Pingu is in a lot of trouble. Spin is going to be sufficient to finish him off. And Keizu continuing to absolutely manhandle this lane. He's actually the top farmer in the game, just above this Tempest, who has, I believe, both of those kills, onto Flensmeister. Nonetheless, the Suicide Switchblade, who has been without Insania for the vast majority of this game, is absolutely destroying Pingu on the short lane Dark Lady. Not a huge surprise, as Switchblade early on is extremely powerful, and TDL takes a while to get going. But it kind of makes you wonder why the Hellborn team is not rotating Torture to this top lane. They're extremely insistent on using him to shut down middle and bot, which is happening effectively, but Dark Lady is a decent recovery hero once she has her cleave. If she doesn't get cleave until, 30 minutes in, she's never going to do anything. And Tempest getting collapsed on by 3 heroes right here. He's not getting out of this. And they're just deciding who's going to get the kill. It is Mickey who picks it off. Top lane, meanwhile, chain reaction's actually going to 2. Slap picking up the Parasite Leech, and that's a kill, though. Since he's unable to get out of there, he's forced out of the Infest. Swift Slashes will finish off Torture in the meantime. Keizu picking up another kill, and he's going to be able to get away from this release. Kraken is available, but Kraken not feeling like he's got another stun. Top lane, nothing really happening. Thought they might be going up on Pingu once again, but there's really no slashes available, so I don't know why I thought that, but kind of hoping something would happen. Anyway, so we move just under 10 minutes into this game, start to exit the landing phase a little bit. Heroes moving around a lot more, and Legion side looking at about 1,100 gold lead and 1,300 experience lead, so SynC up at this point, not hugely so, but still doing quite well in most of their lanes. They're winning bot with Dr. Repulsor just over 100 GPM above this Bubbles, despite the fact he was killed twice. And Suicide, of course, this top lane is going massively in favor of the Legion side, as Keizu is 150 GPM over Pingu on that Dark Lady. Middle lane is the only one that's about even, with Mickey just below Q-Zane on that Kraken. And it's really the jungle, actually, that's doing a lot. Slapped, for some reason, unable to really pick up his farm. He is currently back in the Legion Woods. He's been rotating a lot and trying to set up ganks. Bottom lane, they will find a refresher, and actually they're going to sound out this Kraken with the opposite charge as well. They need to make sure that they can catch the charge, or maybe they should have been more concerned about the release to Kraken, because that's going to be what allows Kraken to get out of this. Top lane, meantime, Tempest Hole right onto Swiftblade. Dark Blades are there, plus the searing or the chain reactions, and that's going to be a nice kill onto Keizu. So failed gank in the bot ruin area, and they finally managed to pick off Keizu in the top lane, which is good, because he was going to start to become extremely powerful extremely quickly. Yeah, for those who might be unsure at this point, any top lane, Pingu in a lot of trouble. Nice stun, though. Going to stop the Deadwood Punch. as the Essence Link is still there, but the silence actually from TDL, and that's enough. Insania all of a sudden in a lot of trouble, takes the stun from the Kelfield and the death. Those are just Mickey illusions, so it won't be a problem to kill them pretty quickly. And the response from the Hellborn team, they knew that the Legion side was going to try to get Pingu, and they had absolutely the correct amount of heroes and abilities used there to save their Dark Lady and get 2 counter kills. So good stuff all of a sudden. Pingu at 320 gold per minute, which isn't the greatest, but it's definitely fine. And considering where he was even a couple of minutes ago, it's quite good, in fact. And he'll have a cleave much quicker than he was going to. It's very important for him, obviously. TDL, a very item-dependent hero, and she farms extremely well once she gets that cleaver going. She even actually has a lot of damage in these team fights, especially if Tempest and or Kraken and or Bubbles can land solid ultimates and lock people down for her charging strikes to go through a bunch. But won't be looking to fight too early anyway. Top lane, Swiftblade, Swift Slashes do not kill Pingu, and the spin is not sufficient either, so he will gain lane control here pretty much once again as Pingu's kind of low, but actually Dark Lady has the life tube, so that'll allow him to get some health back, and we'll see if Keizu can survive this. He's got a spin available in a couple of seconds. Chain Reactions does connect, and there's the silence. Keizu unable to sidestep. Very well played from the Forgotten One right there in the Torture, completely setting up that stun. And that kill. Not an easy spell to land. If you've played any Torture, you know. The Chain Reactions has a pretty decent cast time, and it's not the biggest early on, so very well played, especially against a Ghost Marcher's Swiftblade, to be able to land that stun. And Keizu all of a sudden 2-2, sub 300 GPM. He was the top farmer in the game just a few minutes ago, and all of a sudden he's in some trouble. But wanted to bring up before and clarify, the common belief is in fact that SynC is going to be moving to Dota 2 after the Thailand World Finals, at least for the time being. They are currently playing HoN. They don't always necessarily stream HoN. I know that they're definitely very interested in the Dota 2 scene, and Mickey even on the awards show earlier this week indicated that he will be moving to Dota 2 after the Thailand World Finals, and I believe the consensus is that most of his team is going with him. I think the only person who's unsure is Lapt. But yeah, it seems like once again HoN will be losing some top talent to Dota 2. Meanwhile, speaking of that top talent, Keizu will get jumped and killed again. And they've really been focusing on shutting down the Swiftblade, and I love it. This is exactly what they should be doing. Lensmeister in the bottom lane has since managed to recover because they've spent less time trying to kill him. But he's still only at 330 gold per minute, and Keizu is such a good Swiftblade hero that it's something they really want to address. Meanwhile, top lane, Zlap's going to have to jump inside of an Elemental right there. We'll see if they actually have the damage to lock him down and kill him. It looks like they don't, as the Ghost Marchers are active from Parasite. He manages to skirt on out of there. So, anyway, just to finish that thought on SynC and Dota 2, it seems like they will in fact be leaving, if not all of the team, then at the very least most of it. They recently picked up a sponsor, of course, CM Storm, Cooler Master, which is nice, and maybe an indication of that organization's belief that they're going to Dota 2 and that they will be a good Dota 2 team, which I'm sure that they will be. I do kind of want to point out that I think it's really easy for HoN teams, as good as they are, and especially like SynC when they're that far ahead. At least Kraken can be on 2, as all of a sudden the counter initiation is there. Chain Reactions. I will keep saying Searing Chains. God damn it. I've been watching Dota 2, and I really want this to be Ember Spirit, apparently. Anyway, I feel like HoN teams have got this idea that I'm so much further ahead of the HoN scene, I'm going to move to Dota 2 and just clean up and win a bunch of money and be super famous. I think we've sort of seen that's not necessarily going to be the case. I mean, Complexity is comprised mostly of ex-Stay Green players, and they've had some good success in the NA scene. Meanwhile, bottom lane, Bubbles isn't going to get caught out. Chain Reaction once again onto the Dr. Repulsor, and for some reason Forgotten One thought that was a really good idea to initiate on. I don't know why. That does not have enough health to go in there, so it was appreciative that they tried to save the Bubbles, and actually middle lane, Oak Bolt will finish off the Kraken. So all of a sudden, things going in favor of SynC, but in fact, at the same time, Pingu takes the tower down top.
The Legion have overrun a Hellborn FOB.
Anyway, so we'll see how SynC does in Dota 2. I expect them to be a good team. I don't expect them to be a Tier 1 team, and I expect them to have some serious trouble, especially in the early going, against a lot of the top teams in Dota 2, because the talent there is just better. And honestly, it kind of makes you wonder whether or not that's the right move. If some of these players have it in their minds they want to continue being professional gamers and do this for a living. I mean, Cycle 7 for HoN Tour is $40,000. And that's not, I mean, that's much better than what we've done before, but we've been consistently hovering around the 30K mark per cycle. I would imagine the HoN Tour World Finals will include a total prize pool well into the 6 figures. After HoN Tour, it's not really sure what's going to happen. There have been whispers of DreamHack, but I don't think anything is confirmed or even expected at this point. Top lane, it's going to be Swiftblade. Going to get locked down by the TDL and the Tempest. That's going to be another kill as the Dark Blades just prevent him from doing anything. And I believe that will be a finished Cleaver on the Dark Lady. In fact, yes, it will be, and somehow I got selected on that. I don't know why. Oh, middle lane. Zlap's going to fall here as well. Let's go back and watch the initiation, because I don't have a caster. Or a co-caster, so I might as well just watch this whole thing. Zlap going to get jumped by once again. A chain of reactions. Release Kraken right on his face. Empath trying to get the counter with the wall and the Essence Link. We see a teleport coming in from Flans. He's going to jump in, but realizing there's 3 heroes there and does not want to follow that up. They just do not have the backup. And once again, the chain reactions from the Torturer starting this fight. Kelfield goes through, but it's still going to result in a death onto Flens, and Insania taking the Kelfield stun there a little bit late. Mickey going to get the counter onto Tempest. That's 1. We'll see if they can pick off anybody else. Dark Lady all of a sudden is joining this fight. We'll be able to finish off Deadwood pretty quickly as the last auto attack goes through, and an onslaught streak for Dark Lady. So RmR looking real good here. And the guys on SynC eSports just unable to really find farm. This looks a lot like game 1, but in the reverse. I mean, you look at the GPM charts, all of a sudden TDL's at 450 gold per minute after such an awful start in the top lane. She was basically abandoned by her team. And Pingu's like, alright, I got this. And yeah, it's good. So, anyway, I wish SynC the best of luck. I don't want them to leave. I would prefer them to stay, obviously. I don't think... At the same time, I'm a little bit unsure if they're going to have as much success in Dota as they would in HoN. Because at some point, like, the money in HoN is actually really good. Especially when you consider the size of the competitive scene and the amount of players that are here. Like, there's a lot of money. I mean, I'm watching Dream League for Dota 2, and it's like a $115,000 prize pool for like 2 months of play, including an online stage, 1 LAN stage, and then the DreamHack stage. And it's like, okay, you get 40 grand if you're the top team, but over like 2 months and like, I don't know, 40 games or whatever. Anyway, middle lane, they will crush Mickey as the Portal Key on Kraken manages to pick off another kill. Okay, currently at 270 gold per minute, and really just not having a great game. Nobody on the SynC side is taking off whatsoever. And bottom lane, they will manage to pick off Cookies. Let's go back and watch that, because why not? Initiation from Zlapt here with the Wild Hunter, completely invisible, and Flensmeister's just like, what's up, buddy? We got burst damage. And it seems that the guys on RmR will be taking their 2nd tower of the game. Forgotten One gets picked up here, but it's going to be a counter kill. It looks like onto Keizu gets stunned out. He already uses Swift Slashes. The spin was available, but gets killed before he can pull it off. And RmR, even when they lose people, it seems like they're getting some picks out of it. And this Dark Lady just continues to become more and more of a threat. And she won't out-carry when it comes to like the late game. If everybody's 6-slotted, the Legion side have this because they have Swiftblade and Dr. Repulsor. But if she continues this pace for the next 10 minutes, the Legion side will be unable to deal with her. Because she's going to have a shrunken head relatively soon. She already has a cleave, which actually provides her with a lot of damage. And it's going to be a bit of a problem, especially because these Dark Blades are doing a lot to Swiftblade already, as we can see. They'll do a lot to Parasite. They'll do a lot to Dr. Repulsor, too. So this Legion team could have some issues with that continuous silence. And by the way, the idea that, okay, SynC before from like a couple of months ago wasn't all that good when they were facing SG and BMG middle lane. It's gonna be Mickey that gets jumped and killed, and it looks like gonna be Insania falling as well as he tried to do something to save the Deadwood there, but the response from the Hellborn side is that good. And I mean, yes, the competitive scene will definitely suffer, but we've seen a lot of teams step up and take the place of other teams. I genuinely do believe that this edition of SynC is at the same level as BMG and SG. I think you cannot look at how good they are now and how good they were 9 to 10 months ago and say they're the same team and they were worse than SG and BMG then, so they're still worse. No. They added Insania. I think that was a significant upgrade. They added Mickey again over Probusk, who was on the team for a lot of the time when they were playing SG and BMG. And more importantly, they've gotten better. I mean, I think Zlapt won Most Improved Player for a reason. He's gotten a lot better over the last year. Insania has gotten better. I think Mickey has gotten a lot better. I mean, Mickey was, last year he was a new player. He was a relatively unknown name, and now he won the MVP. He's really, arguably, I think, but he's definitely one of the best players in the scene. And top lane, Kraken could be in some trouble. Deadwood with Empath inside, as well as Swiftblade chasing him down. There's no way Kraken's getting out of this one, so it should be a pretty easy one. But I think, as somebody who watches a lot of Gold Division games, and by a lot I mean every single Gold Division game, as well as all of the Diamond games, there's a lot of talent here. Like, it's difficult to see when they're playing SynC because SynC is that much better. But I do the power rankings, and I consistently have people tell me it's really, really hard to rank the teams after you get to the top, couple, maybe. You usually have some iteration of SynC, Tree, Null, Reason for this edition, or the top 4. And then after that, what do you do? Like, I mean, BMG? Well, BMG just dropped to gold. They beat SynC 3 weeks ago, and then they dropped to gold. So, okay. I mean, Prime Icarus is a good team. Ogre is a good team. This RmR team, as they're showing right now, is a good team. They're up 16 to 10 against SynC in the round of 8. They just got 2nd place in Gold Division, and they're giving SynC a run for their money. I mean, it's like, the competitive scene is actually quite even at this point. I mean, top lane, we're going to see a Kraken ultimate onto 2. Here's Tempest as well. That's going to lock everybody down, and 2 easy kills. The kill field goes through. So really, really nice initiation of Kraken right there, locking everybody down, allowing the teleports to come in.
The Legion have overrun a Hellborn FOB.
Anyway, so it's gonna be interesting to see where it goes, especially if SynC does decide to leave. But I feel like they're probably not gonna have as much success in Dota as they would in HoN, and to the point where they might actually win more money if they just stayed in HoN. And at the very least, if they do have more success in Dota, it's going to be a while. It's going to be months, at the very least, before they get anywhere close to the level that they are right now. Which is unlikely to happen at all, I think. But, hey, best of luck to them, and you can certainly understand why they'd be interested in leaving. I don't think anything's super confirmed yet. I suppose things could possibly change between now and the end of Thailand. But most indications do seem to be that they were leaving. No, KZU was not dropped from Stay Green because he was bad. That's just not true. No, KZU was dropped from Stay Green, and Slicks left Stay Green because of issues with the team. It was not a talent issue. Yeah, it was not a talent issue at all. KZU won Best Suicide. KZU, I think, is arguably the best player. It's between probably KZU, Mickey, maybe Boxy.
The Hellborn have overrun
I think Slapped is close to that list, but you want to talk current players in terms of who's the best? I think KZU is probably the best competition for Mickey. Yeah, there's no question about that. Speaking of KZU, he might get cut out here, as the Portakey's already got used. Kraken actually has his back up, but they need to be able to find this Swiftblade. Bubbles with a haste rune is going to spot him out, but Kraken a little bit too far away, and KZU will be able to skirt out of there. And Doctor just kind of hanging out in the woods right here. Is he going to get spotted? Shellsurf was sort of there. They know where he is, but he's going to be able to get the ludicrous speed off and TP away. Kelpfield is there, and it's going to stop it. Dark Blades are going to be able to kill him, too. So yeah, this is a round of 8 match, guys. This is not a loser's bracket match. This is a replay cast of one of the first series from Cycle 7 today. So it's not live. This game isn't live. The cast is live. The game is not live. This was played several hours ago, as is pretty much everything that I cast. At the very least, this is about as new as it gets for me. Anyway, we got 19 to 10 hero advantage here for RmR, and I spent way too much time talking about SynC and Dota 2, and not enough time about this game. Actually, Deadwood has picked up his portal key here, so he's going to have the punch-jump combination. He still does not have upgraded boots yet, and maybe he's deciding whether he wants to go for the Ghost Marchers or Steam boots. I think both are legitimate options. Ghost Marchers make him a little bit more mobile and stuff, which is good. And then the Steam Boots, of course, will add some tankiness and some more late game potential as they really scale better if you want to scope the auto attacks. And really, with that Oak Bolt, he does hit quite hard when he's got a tree. So, not something that you can really ignore. He doesn't have one right now, so you can't get a visual, but it's, let's see. It's a really, really long ability. How much is it? Plus something damage? Doesn't say. Oh well. Flen's going to pick up the Hellflower here, so probably looking to lock down that TDL and or the Tempest a little bit more, possibly even the Bubbles. All of those heroes would really hate to get Hellflowered as they are reliant on spellcasts for both their damage and their mobility. Switchblade picking up the Firebrand on top of the Energizer Ghost Marchers combination, which I said in Game 1. I'm not a huge fan of Energizer plus Ghost Marchers. I feel like you can get one. You don't necessarily need both. It's better to have Steam Boots for late game potential and then the Energizer for the mobility. So, top lane, let's see, Swiftblade. Moving things out a little bit. There is an illusion here from Bubbles, excuse me, as well as one over here. That's going to provide some vision. And in the top lane, Deadwood's actually going for this. Kaiser's up here too, and you can see the rotation from RmR. Get an Invis rune on Bubbles. It's going to scout some people out. And release the Kraken right on the face of Swiftblade. He'll be able to TP away though. He's just gone. I don't know why Bubbles sort of Kelpfield right there. There's absolutely no way that it was going to do anything. And Swiftblade was continuing to spin.
The Legion have overrun a Hellborn FOB.
So, good stuff. As RmR continuing to try to put pressure on SynC eSports right now. They're doing pretty much everything that they can to ensure that SynC does not have a great place to farm. And you can see that in the GPM turrets right now. 370 gold per minute is the highest for SynC on that Dr. Repulsor. And then Pingu way up there, 634 gold per minute. And he's actually just had a fantastic game. I mean, I try to be a little bit more cautious about my praise of carry players because it's really, really easy to look at their GPM and be like, oh god, he's so good, without realizing, okay, he's doing that because the rest of his team has done a lot for him. And that's definitely true in this case. The Forgotten One on this Torture has had a fantastic game. He's landed like every single chain reaction spell. But Pingu got stuck in a bad lane, and he took that and somehow turned it into a ridiculous amount of farm. So, like, this is becoming a serious problem for the Hellborn team. And to be honest, though, I really would like to see RmR push the envelope a little bit more than they are. This TDL is not going to get too much fatter than she already is, and it could get to the point where Swiftblade and Dr. Repulsor just become too much as the two of them versus the one Dark Lady. Obviously, they do have a lot of backup for the Dark Lady, the Kraken, the Tempest, and the Bubbles, so it's not like it's just her, but they should still look to be doing something, I think, sooner rather than later. As Dr. Repulsor has to vacate his woods because the Hellborn team is ganging up and going for something. Conqueror was killed? When the hell did that happen? Completely did not realize that. Nobody has a token, so it must have been a while ago. Boy, I'm obviously paying attention to everything. Everything's great. Anyway, RmR continuing to just farm it up, and I don't know. I'd like to see them be a little more active. By the way, Parasite, of course, does have a puzzle box. Not a huge surprise right there. I can't see what level it is because he's currently inside of a creep. And notable, obviously, he is not regaining health anymore. At least he shouldn't have been. It is a puzzle box level 3. Not a huge surprise there. We're 30 minutes into this game, and Zoloft has 321 GPM. But Conqueror does respawn, and that's the cue for the Hellborn side to go for that. This will be a token of life on Dark Lady, and presumably that's the key to their high ground push. Legion team has absolutely no vision of this whatsoever, and Tempest is going to farm out the middle to prevent them from being able to see too much. Quite an easy Kong with this Dark Lady, having the amount of damage that she does. And that'll be it. So, ends up getting the token. Actually, it goes on to Kraken. That's pretty interesting. I'm kind of surprised that they would choose to do that. TDL has 3,400 gold saved up, so she definitely got a buyback. But I would imagine they'd be, much preferring to stick that token on TDL. And okay, SynC are overstaying their welcome by a fair bit right here. There's the drop, and we'll see. Actually, yeah, Tempest Hole going to be used, and that's going to stop the teleport from Keizu as Zlop tries to get away on that catapult. Pingu. Apparently he stole the token. Thank you. Pingu into its chat. Good stuff. But yeah, I mean, RmR, they're definitely ahead. But the problem is their lead isn't really growing at this point, and they desperately need to do something. They have a token of life. They're going to get ratted, too, because SynC love to do this. They love to be like, look, I'm going to constantly push you in 4 different lanes. Actually, top lane, Dr. Repulsor going to pay for that, as they bring in sufficient heroes to bring him down. Middle lane, though, Tempest going to get jumped, and they release the Kraken right onto Deadwood. That's going to start some stuff for a while, but it's not going to be enough balls. Still going to die. Qzane wants to get this counter. Is he going to get anything out of it, though? Parasite cannot get inside of his creeps. Gets the puzzle box, but doesn't get out. That's going to be a 1-for-1 trade, which actually goes in favor of the Hellborn team, considering the Tempest ulti is down, so not as valuable a hero. And hopefully this will turn into a mid-tier 3 tower push. Looks like you get 2 Den of the Legion side, and both Flens and Zlop have buybacks. Got a token of life once again on Kraken. That has not been used quite yet, and I'm guessing that they're going to be trying to push this and getting the buybacks. Yep. Flensmeister with 1 buyout. Zlop apparently going to save his. And they'll save their base tower, at least for the time being. Yeah, by the way, I really don't think that's true. I don't think that SynC is the same as they were. I think they're much better. I really do. I'm watching this team and watching that old team because every so often I will go back and watch a VOD or something like that of older games for apparently I have that much time on my hands. This team is much more coordinated. They're better as well, just as players. So their drafting is better. It's just a lot of this team is better. They've learned things. They haven't been stagnant. Anyway, it's still RmR's game, and they are increasing their lead just ever so slightly. Obviously, the buyback on Flens was pretty important, but at this point, it's very possible that they won't get anything out of the Token of Life, as Qzane currently has it, and it's got a minute 53 left on it, so they really have to start to go in if they want to manage to get something out of this token, other than the 1 buyback from Flens. And you look at their item progression on the Hellborn side. Storm Spirit actually gets picked up by Tempest, so they're really concerned about keeping this Dark Lady alive. She's also picked up the Symbol of Rage, and that's pretty interesting. She already has a modifier with the Dawnbringer. So she has a Symbol of Rage and an Abyssal Skull. I assume that she's swapping her orbs, because otherwise she's not getting a lot out of one of those. And it's going to be the jump right here. Release the Kraken, though, on to 3 heroes. We'll see if they can actually get TDL out of this. She obviously doesn't have a token, just be careful. Tempest Ultimate not going to be canceled. Everybody on Legion side dropping, as we have both Doctor and Empath dead. Empath does buyback immediately. The Rotten Grass is not going to actually hit Tempest in the back end, but that's a TDL Treasure Strikes once again. Gets a hat trick and a quad kill, looking for the Annihilation, and the GGs are being called. And that's going to be a tie game. Alright. Well. Okay, so I can't act too surprised because I knew that was coming because this has been played already, but I mean, it's still a really good performance from RmR. There's no doubt about it. I mean, like, it's not like they just destroyed them from the early beginning of the game and they were never ever going to come back or anything like that. So that was simply a situation where it was a relatively even laning phase, but RmR figured some stuff out. They had excellent rotations. They kept ganking Flensmeister, and they turned their attention to Keizu. They didn't let either of those heroes take off. Pingu, I got to give a lot of credit to him and to the Forgotten One on that one, because I think they both had fantastic games. They landed a lot of difficult-to-land spells. Pingu found a ton of farm. 725 gold per minute is nothing to laugh at. And that's not a situation where you can get that just because your teammates are helping you out, especially considering his early laning phase was quite poor. So, I mean, I think RmR are still not really a team that should be considered as, you know, even all that close to SynC in terms of skill level, but this sort of shows you that maybe people are figuring SynC out a little bit. The last couple of cycles, they looked really, really dominant. It's been a month since Cycle 6, and with the patch, with the time off, and with the possibility of SynC maybe not playing HoN as much as they should be, they looked a little vulnerable here, and against a team that they probably shouldn't be looking too vulnerable against. I mean, RmR is good, again, but they were second in Gold Division, and that's the sort of differential that you would expect SynC to just roll over people. But RmR looked decent in Game 1. They looked good enough in Game 2 to take the victory, and that means that we're going to a Game 3. So, surprising, and not a position that SynC have found themselves in too often. But stick around, guys. We'll be right back with that.